Welcome back Years 5 and 6, it's Miss Dyer here with this week's English Learning Journey, week beginning Monday the 1st of February 2021. Now this is our fifth and final video this week. Don't worry if you've missed the other videos, you can still join in today. As we go through the video you'll realise that some of the children have created a character. Don't worry if you haven't created a character, you could write about someone you know really well. Perhaps a family member or a friend. Now, as always, we'll begin with a recap. We're going to review some learning and we're going to be set some new learning tasks for today. There are 3 short tasks to do today, and it's up to you how you spread them out throughout your day. Let's begin with our recap. How do I create and describe an engaging main character for a story? We've been using the task wheel this week to guide us through our inquiry towards our outcome. By the end of today, we will have created an engaging character for a story and described this character in a short piece of writing. Throughout the week, we've been generating ideas. We've been implementing our ideas and reviewing them, as well as editing them. We've been using our learning journals to do this, just as we would in school. And I've been really impressed with those children who are focused on presenting their learning as we'd expect in school. They've been checking their full stops, capital letters and their spellings. I've noticed a real big push on children editing and improving their work. So well done everybody. This term, our gateway is explorers. An explorer is somebody who follows their passions and seeks challenge in order to aspire to be the best version of themselves. And this term we've been thinking about how we're showing determination and perseverance, which is really important when we're working from home. So like I said, we've already generated ideas and we've decided upon a new character. Now it's time to implement and use all of the ideas that we've generated, including the ideas that we wrote yesterday when we were writing expanded noun phrases and using the technique show and tell to describe our character. Here's our model text. This is an example of a good character description. It would be useful now, Year 5 and 6, to pause the video and to remind yourself of this model text. Take your time to read it and notice the writing features that we've been learning about, not only this week, but for the last few weeks. Hopefully you've paused the video then, Year 5 and 6, and you've had a chance to read the model text. Yesterday we unpicked the features. We reminded ourselves that when we are creating an engaging character, this is for our reader. We want to impact the reader to really enjoy our character and to be engaged, to be entertained and to be able to imagine their character in their mind. The writing features that we use need to have that impact on our reader. Having a success criteria can help us choose the impact we want to have and to set ourselves challenges, just as an explorer would. Usually our success criteria is a list of things to include. But this week we're going to challenge ourselves to think about the impact that our writing techniques can have. This success criteria is a thinking tool which helps us plan the impact that our writing will have on the reader. In the centre, we write our focus, which is a character description. The next box, our focus will be on the impact. What we want our reader to gain from reading our character description. So, for example, we want our reader to be engaged and interested in the character. We also want our reader to believe in our character and their problems and their trials. We want our character to be believable. I really want my reader to be able to imagine their character really clearly in their head. just like they could imagine our storm last week. You may also want your character to be funny and entertaining. You might also want your character to be brave and loyal. You can add as many impacts that you want to have on your audience as you want to this section. But beware, if you add them, then you're going to have to pick the writing techniques that are going to achieve the impact that you want. For example, I want my reader to be engaged and interested. I'm going to think now about the writing techniques I need to use to achieve this impact. This is the list of writing techniques that we gathered yesterday from the model text. So I know verbs and adjectives are key to ensuring that a reader is engaged and interested. I know that verbs and adjectives also support a reader in imagining the character in their mind. I know that a simile and alliteration can also support a character to imagine. Using a simile is really important because it enables a reader to picture a comparison that they may already know. I could continue to add more success criteria to this space, but I'm going to let you pick your success criteria today. Try to think of yourself as an explorer and to challenge yourself to pick the most appropriate success criteria for your outcome, but also success criteria that's going to challenge you. For example, do you really struggle to use fronted adverbials? Well, fronted adverbials can make your writing more interesting and less repetitive. I'm going to add fronted adverbials to my success criteria, even though it's going to be a challenge to use them. The final section of the success criteria is the outside, which is where we record our vocabulary. This can be seen as sort of a planning box. So for example, if I'm going to use a simile or a piece of alliteration, I draw another arrow and I start to plan the simile that I could use. My character is blonde and has hair like straw. Thick blonde hair. Like straw. I'm starting to plan a simile that I could use. I know it's not exactly correct, and I know it will need some work in my writing, but it is a starting point that I can use. I could add a fronted adverbial. These were my challenge, so they were going to require a little bit of thinking. I could go onto Google and Google fronted adverbial list or word mat to help me. But I know fronted adverbials can tell me the time of day. Therefore, I'm going to start to think about the time of day that I could use in my story. I could say early one morning. I could use as the sun set. Fronted adverbials can also tell us how things are being done. For example, skipping merrily. You can fill your vocabulary section with as many examples of your success criteria as possible. Try to choose examples that you're going to be able to use in your writing. So this brings us to our first learning journal entry for today. This is an example of what it could look like in your learning journal. At the top of the page, I've written our inquiry question. On the right hand side, I've drawn a straight line with my ruler to create my thinking column. The thinking column could go on the right or the left or at the bottom of your page. You can choose. I've then used a ruler to create my success criteria grid. In the centre, I've written character description. You can use this video to check your spelling year 5 and 6. Remember, this part is where you'll think about the impact you want to have on the reader. Believable, engaging, funny, imaginative, you choose. The third box, is where you list your criteria. So if you've said that your character is going to be funny, will they use rhetorical questions? If you said your character is going to be brave and loyal, will they have a best friend? Around your map, or your grid, you're going to list your vocabulary and start to generate ideas of words, phrases, and sentences that you can use in your story today. When you've completed your success criteria, then you can think about your thinking column. We're going to be focusing on our explorers element today, because I set you a challenge to add something to your success criteria that you find a little bit tricky. So how are you going to challenge yourself when you write your description? Write a short sentence in your thinking column to explain. For example, I'm going to challenge myself to use a fronted adverbial because I know this will add variety to my writing and keep the reader interested and engaged. Okay, year 5 and 6, time to pause the video. Don't forget to come back because we're just about to begin our writing. Welcome back everybody. I hope you are feeling happy and satisfied with your success criteria. Your success criteria focuses on the impact that you're going to have on your reader. And you've already begun to plan some of the words, phrases and the vocabulary that you could use in your writing today. So now it's time to start your writing. In your learning journal, I suggest you start a clean new page. Write the date and the question at the top of your page, and on the right hand side, or the left or the bottom of your page, create your thinking column. You can then write your short character description in this area of your page. There's plenty of space for you to edit, to refine your thinking, and to even start again if you think you can improve and butterfly on your ideas. Don't forget to use your success criteria. I will expect to see some evidence of expanded noun phrases, and for those who are challenging themselves, some show and tell examples. When you have finished your description, don't forget to complete your thinking column. When you created your success criteria, you told me how you were going to challenge yourself. So now you've written your description, how did you meet your challenge? You'll need to write a short sentence to tell me. For example, if your challenge was fronted adverbials, you could write something like this. I use fronted adverbials in my writing. It was a challenge because I had to Google some to find some suitable for my writing. I challenged myself to not just use the time of day, but to also use place and manner fronted adverbials. Okay, year 5 and year 6, it's time to write. And of course, for those who like an optional extra challenge, you could write your story today, but don't forget to describe the settings and the characters. Mrs. PA and I are really keen and will be focusing on looking at that description of your character. When you finish writing your description, please come back to the video for your final, very, very short task. Welcome back, year 5 and 6. I hope your character descriptions have gone to plan. I cannot wait to read them. I'm really excited to see how you've challenged yourself and how you've really embodied that idea of an explorer. I know some of you find home learning tricky, but we're all about not giving up at TSJ and showing perseverance even when it's tough. Okay, so for the final part of today, we're going to need to answer our question. We're into the final section of our task wheel, where we're evaluating and communicating what we've learnt. It will look something like this in your learning journey. At the top of the page, you'll have the question and today's date. We're going to think about two areas when we write our reflection. First of all, our writing, and second of all, our gateway. You may decide that you're just going to focus on one of these sentence starters, two of them, or all of them. It's up to you, Year 5 and 6. So when you write your reflection, you could write about how you created and described your main character. For example, I created and described a main character which will engage my audience because. You might start your sentence with, this character was engaging because. One way I improved my writing this week was, perhaps you even had a go at including show not tell. Or you're learning about expanded noun phrases. You don't have to use all of these sentence starters. You may decide to use 1, 2 or 3. And of course you can adapt them Year 5 and 6. Don't be afraid to change them and reflect on your own work. When you are ready to reflect on your gateway, remember our gateway is explorers this term. Here are 3 sentence starters to help you with your reflection. I have shown determination or perseverance. Tell me how you've done that this week. I have challenged myself. I have challenged myself to take part as best as I can in all of my learning journey work this week. An example of a decision I had to make this week and how I made it. I had to decide between 2 characters and it was really tricky because I thought both of them would be engaging. However, I chose to write about a boy with special powers, as I think this is most appropriate for my age group. Okay, Year 5 and 6, so it's time now to do your reflections. When you have finished your reflections, you need to give yourself a huge almighty pat on the back because you have completed this week's learning journey. Well done, everybody. Please share your learning on Class Dojo with Mrs. PA and myself, and I cannot wait to see your completed reflections, your character description, and all the other wonderful things you've achieved this week. Well done, everybody.